Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Nate's Numismatics. Today we are going to be looking at a relatively lesser known section of the hobby, the sample slab. Now before we get started, a slab is a product that has been developed by a third-party grader, a TPG, to hold a coin and a label guaranteeing the authenticity of the coin and a numerical grade as well. Now, as with many industries, third-party graders will often produce sample products to give out to potential customers, and many collectors like to collect these samples, and they're known as sample slabs. This is a PCGS Rattler slab. You can hear why there. And these are among the first slabs produced by PCGS. These samples are also some of the first samples produced, and they often have numbers right here. And if you get really lucky, you can find one with all zeros on the certificate number. Those are the first samples produced by any third-party grader, and they often carry a heavy premium. Now these slabs have, this particular one has a 1963 Philly silver dime in them, and there are other varieties that have other coins in them. 1963 Denver, 1964, other common dates. That's sort of the point of a sample slab, is to contain a cheap coin that you can just sort of give away to show off your product. Next here we've got a OGH, Old Green Holder. This was produced by PCGS, but just by looking at the front of it, you wouldn't exactly know that, because you'll notice there's no PCGS up here, and that's something that was on their labels at the time. But this sample, for whatever reason, does not have that. Other than that, it's a relatively unremarkable coin. Again, just a silver 64 Denver dime. Next up, we've got two of the same type, actually. These are PCGS authentic slabs, and these slabs were produced for introduction to coin collecting kits. They don't have a grade on them, and they have a common circulated wheat cent in them. And PCGS produced about 50,000 to 100,000 of these with different years for a kit introducing new people to coin collecting. And this is a really good reason, a really good example that shows why I like to call samples the business card of a third-party grader, because these were given out to people who otherwise would have had no knowledge of slabbing coins. And they contain many years, this particular variety does, and they can you can try to put together a complete set of dates. Next up, we've got some common zinc shield cents in modern slabs. You'll see here that they're just common cents. Nothing too special about those. But you can try to put together a complete date run of shield cents with sample slabs. It might take some searching, but eventually you should be able to complete the set. This is a particularly interesting type. This is a fast coin sample, and Fast Coin is a coin dealer out in California that had these made to promote themselves. This is a proof 1960 nickel, and proofs are pretty uncommon actually to see in sample slabs, just because they're supposed to contain cheap coins. But fast coin slabs are different in that they're known to contain many coins that you otherwise wouldn't find in a sample. Some of them contain walking half dollars, Benjamin Franklin half dollars, and I've even found some that contain Morgan silver dollars, and those are particularly expensive. Now this one is a 2013 Beijing International Coin Exposition sample slab. This was produced for the October 11th, 2013 Beijing Coin Exposition, and it has the PCGS set registry website on the back. And otherwise, it is a very unremarkable coin. You can see there that it's got a lot of dings in it. But it's unusual in that PCGS typically only produces sample slabs with American coins in them. So this is sort of something to keep an eye out for. And finally from PCGS, I've got a 2001 euro 10 cent. This specific coin was minted in Belgium. You can tell that because of the design it has on it. But the label incorrectly lists it as a French coin. Now, I've seen several samples with that same label, the same number and everything, and I've seen them with a number of countries in them. I've seen them from France, actually. I've seen coins from Spain, coins from Austria, and now coins from Belgium in a French label. And it's interesting because it's supposed to be a sample. It's supposed to demonstrate your product, and I find it interesting that a sample would have such a glaring issue with it. This here is from PCGS banknote grading. They started operations in 2015, and in 2015 on eBay, about 4 of these showed up. And this is believed to be the first sample that PCGS banknote grading produced. It's got a Hong Kong $10 in it. And you'll notice that it does not have a grade, but is instead listed as genuine. Now, before there was PCGS banknote grading, there was PCGS currency. And PCGS currency was actually not a PCGS company from 2009 to 2015. And these all have numerical grades on them. You can see there, and they contain a variety of world bills in them. This one is interesting because it's from the International Grading Office, and none of these other ones have that on them. They just have the PCGS currency website. They contain common enough bills, and they're nothing too special except for the sample part. Now, next I'm going to show the NGC samples. In my experience, NGC produces a lot more variety of samples. Here is one of the first they produced. This is known as the fatty slab. It's a little bit thicker than modern slabs, and you can see here it's got a nice full hologram sticker. It's on the outside of the plastic, so it is prone to being damaged. So that's something that fatty collectors look out for. a lot of them are picky about having a full sticker since it's so easy to damage. And this just has a common, lightly toned 1963 10 cent. Next up, we've got a 1999 Delaware State Quarter sample. This is unusual because the head of Washington was chosen to be on the front of the coin, or the front of the slab, as opposed to the more interesting state side. You'll see that in future samples they decided to put the state side up, such as with the Saratoga Manatee Coin Show sample. This particular sample is known to have about 300 made, which is pretty unusual for a sample to have a known mintage because it's more of a production run. And this just has a Florida State Quarter in it, and it's pedigreed to that specific show on the label. Next up, I have one from the 2004 Pittsburgh A&A show, and this is a young numismatist treasure trivia slab. Actually, these were given out to young numismatists under 18 at the show, and they were given out as prizes for a trivia competition. You'll usually not really see YN labels for sale, mostly because the children who got them would opt to keep the coin rather than sell it. Here's a really, really fascinating one. It's from the Fort Lauderdale, Florida show, and NGC produced these with an orange label. It's got a Florida State Quarter in it. And the designer of this Florida State Quarter is Ralph Butler. And I've seen a few of these now that have signatures on them of him. I've seen one with his full name, and this one just has his last name. But I've mostly seen these slabs without the signature, which suggests to me that maybe it was not part of the official release, but was later added on by him. Next up, we have an Arkansas State Quarter sample. This one is interesting because at least up until 2016, these were not. Arkansas was not known to exist in a sample slab, and we know that from the Sample Slabs book, which was produced in 2016. And this is just a really nice book, a catalog of different sample slabs across different grading companies. There's a lot of great information in there. I definitely recommend picking it up if you have a chance. Here I've got actually a 5-quarter giant sample. This one is limited to only 15 slabs, actually, and it's got all 5 of the 2004 Philadelphia State Quarters, all graded at 65, and these were produced for the Collectors Club, and it's just a really cool slab. It's giant, and it's uncommon to see 5 coin holders, much less 5 coin samples. Here's a very modern one. This is from 2017 for the NGC 30th anniversary. It contains a proof 1987 quarter, and this one was actually the first in the run to be made. So that's something that I think is really interesting. Now we're moving on up to the half dollars. This is just a common one to see, a 1964 silver half dollar in a sample slab with no grade. And these were pretty common to see back in the day, along with the dimes that I showed earlier. Now here's one from the April 2018 Hong Kong Coin Show. It contains a 2018 Denver $50. And this one is just a regular show slab. I used to actually have another one from the 2017 Hong Kong Coin Show that had a similar label to this with the 30th anniversary label, but I sold it because I was not into sample slabs at the time, and I now definitely regret that decision. But live and learn, and I still think that this is pretty neat to have as a replacement. Other common YN prizes are President's Dollars. This one is a William H. Harrison sample from the YN Treasure Trivia. It's just a pretty standard coin. This one is the most common president actually to see on a sample slab. Now, this one is very, very uncommon. I haven't seen any sales of my own since I started collecting samples, and I only know of one sale of this type before that, and that's from the sample slab book that I know what it sold for. This is a 1945 Mexican 2 pesos, and these are gold coins, actually. Now, what sort of dealer would give out a gold coin as a gift? It's just something that's a real mystery, and it's a very uncommon thing to see. And I got that a few weeks ago. Next up, we've got some more show slabs. These are from the Tokyo International Coin Convention in 2016, and they both contain 1981 Chinese coins. And these are interesting because they both have the same certification number, and they're only off by one, meaning that these slabs were produced one after another. Looks like something wasn't quite right with the slabs that day, because as you can see, these don't really stack very well. They're bulged out in the center. And they're just really big, fun samples. Here we've got two that are pretty similar. These are from the Hong Kong Coin Expo and the Singapore Coin Expo in 2016, I believe. They contain bimetallic 10 yuans, and they're both the monkey design. And these are both they have a different label number, but they both were the 49th in their run, which is really cool to have them together as a pair. And here's another show slab. This is the 2015 Macau Numismatics show, I believe. This contains a 1998 Macau 2 paticas. It's just a really fun coin in general, only made better by being in a sample slab. And finally, from NGC, we've got two Switzerland 1983 Rapins. And Switzerland just makes really nice coins in general. Look proof-like when they're uncirculated. These were both from the same run and are off by over 100 coins. So that means these are, there's at least a few of these out there. And now I'm going to be looking at some Annex samples. I'll start off with this error sample, actually. This contains an off-center 1999 Lincoln Memorial cent. This was produced for Errors and More, a coin dealer in Fair Oaks, California. I actually bought this directly from the dealer. Probably paid a little bit more than I should have, but I like it because it's an error coin from my birth year in a sample slab. So I just think that's neat. Here's some 2014 show slabs from the North Carolina Numismatics Association show. They made ones for Denver and Philadelphia, and I've got them as a pair here. There's another show slab, the 2014 PCF meeting. These are Philippines coins. And something interesting about this is that the word Philippines is actually misspelled with an extra L on the label, which is, you know, uncommon again to see errors on a sample slab, a sample product. And then we have a Denver Coin Club 75th anniversary sample slab with a DCC dollar, a wooden nickel in a sample slab. It's not something you see either very often. And I found that Annex samples are more likely to have sort of gimmick coins in them. A wooden nickel, as you just saw, or perhaps a poker chip. Here we have an SEGS sample. These appear to be produced not too long after the coins were made because they didn't know the mintage when they were making them. This is a 2000 Denver, Massachusetts quarter. I just like how deep this back part is. And they're really interesting slabs in general. And finally, I'm just going to look at some ICG samples. Here we've got another Massachusetts quarter, ICG, courtesy international currency. So it's attributed to a specific dealer. This one, I'm not sure if I actually would call it a sample, but I don't know exactly what else to call it. It's definitely a promotional item of some sort. This one is a silver dollar, the 1983 Philadelphia Olympics dollar. It's got a nice eagle on the reverse. This was signed by the engraver Elizabeth Jones, and it's limited to only 250 labels with that, and they are numbered by hand and signed by hand, and it's just a really cool promotional item. And that's something you'll see with a lot of sample slabs. They're supposed to be promotional. They're supposed to sort of catch your eye and show an example of what their product is. So, again, that's all I've got for today. If you're interested in these slabs, I'd recommend picking up a copy of the Sample Slab book. There's lots of good information in there. And that about does it for today. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys later. Bye.